but he won't.
And I think we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting.
I had one correction on there. But other than that, I would move to approve with the correction.
It was a misspelling.
Okay. Been moved by Amanda. Second by Roger. All in favor? Minutes approved. Consent agenda, we need permission from clerk to pay insurance at time of billing, to pay utilities at time of billing, to pay utility incentive before the 25th of the month, to pay data bills when due, and to pay payment service network bills when due.
So moved.
Moved by Larry,
Second.
second by Dara. All in favor? Approved. Visitors, anything for that? Okay, police report. Cody's not here, so he left us a sheet to look at.
I visited with Cody just a little bit briefly today. His daughter's birthday today, so he wasn't going to make it. Lily's birthday, his daughter's birthday was today, so he was celebrating that and said if we needed him, and I didn't think there was any need. He said that these stats are just for Jonathan, so he hasn't got anything broke down as far as what the sheriff's department covers in town. He said it's a little different through their reporting system as far as the way it breaks down would be like St. Francis zip code as opposed to Bird City. So he's going to try to work on a way to break that a little bit further down for us as far as what all the sheriff's department covers as well. He did say that Jonathan got, they did some radar certifications, so using them to do some traffic patrol more now.
Okay, well, let's move on to new business. Okay, Ron, you're up. Committee.
Good. I didn't bring enough for everybody, so who wants to share?
I won't wait.
You can't read, so you don't need it. We can put it in my kind of, I got past the same one. What?
So the ones
Sure.
that matter.
Yes.
So basically what we have, through all the time that we've dealt with Eagle and St. Francis from the beginning, we had really three agendas. The number one was to get the town fiber, which worked out great. Part of one of the things we wanted, we thought we had it at the very beginning, was to put fiber out on the old drive-in road. What is the road?
Road 15? Oh, no.
50.
I thought it was 15.
Road 15.
15.
That was accomplished this year. They came back and did that. And one of the third things that we had, that we talked about, we thought would be good for the communities if we had a hot spot, like some communities, you go to their truck stop and there's free Wi-Fi for out-of-towners, whatever. And that was part of discussions off and on all the way along. So recently, we just brought it back up and wanted to go back and talk to them about it, see what it would cost, and bring it to the city. So at least you saw what kind of numbers it cost and whether or not a service like that you might want to provide now or sometime in the future. Just kind of a learning, but they did have to put some real numbers together. So it really involves equipment and then a monthly cost to maintain the service. So I'm not the techiest guy, so we got two techies here that'll kind of give you a rundown. First, I think we should go over the equipment first.
Sure. Physically, it would just be another internet connection, really just like in any of the other buildings. It would be a fiber line that runs into a modem. It would actually be the exact same modem you guys have in the house. But from there, it would actually go into a controlled security switch that Eagle would actually be able to monitor. It's going to be their own hardware firewall, and then they can monitor it remotely. So if it were to even go down or start throwing errors, an alarm would sound in haze. So they can actually physically watch this switch. From that switch, there would be a wireless access point. And basically that's really the goal, is just to create a wireless access point with an antenna. And that would of course broadcast. It would be an omnidirectional antenna that would broadcast over a wide area.
Can you give them an idea what range you would
What
cover?
kind of range?
Right, sure. I don't know exact footage, but it's a decent sized antenna and would cover. We were thinking about the area we're scoping out is the bathrooms behind the courthouse, mounting an antenna on top of the bathroom. And what that would do is it would very easily cover everything from the pool, the band shell, the whole city park, pretty much that 2-block radius area there. And the thinking there is, of course, everybody would have wireless coverage for events and things along those lines. So yeah, everything in that area would be covered, including the pool. It would be very easily stretched. I actually went and scoped it out, and there's a nice clean line of sight to the pool. So.
Right, and the thing there is, just to remember, there's a lot of people at the pool every day, and, mothers that are there with their, watching their kids would then have Wi-Fi and not have to use up their cellular allotment. I mean, it's not just for people from out of town, but it's also for locals that are using the park or the pool.
What's to keep people, like just a homeowner or whatever, from within that zone of just utilizing it full time and not having a connection?
And that is a possibility. I think generally it's a fairly small risk. I mean, there's already a wireless access point at the library.
Right.
And somebody could, and they certainly could. It's a fairly small risk, and I actually discussed that when we were looking for the bid with Eagle. I actually brought it up, that would be an issue, and it's not a major concern, honestly, and they approved it without really going into it. So
Yeah, actually, if that happened, then, I agree it could, although the loser here is the Eagle, not the city of St. Francis.
Right.
I just assumed they'd have some kind of 3-day time cut thing or whatever, and that would obviously not work for people at the pool for a summer. That's why I asked.
right.
Probably most people already have something in their house. I mean, yeah, this is a scenario that always happens when municipalities provide it, but I don't know that it's, like I say, it's Eagle. It's
You can have
No
renewable,
great concern. I just
like a
worried.
daily renewable
Right,
key
and
where you
it's
have
a
to log in
minimal
and
risk,
it's good for
really, for
24
them.
hours,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
right?
You can put it, you can make it harder to log in, and you can do those kind of things, but then, remember, you're making it harder for the 100 people that you want to have it just to stop
Yeah.
the one person that you don't. It's a disproportionate response, but yeah, I mean, there's ways to do it.
I mean, we wouldn't want someone streaming Netflix 24/7 on the same thing either.
Yeah.
But you could also limit connectivity, the bandwidth, right, per connection?
The general, I guess, reply to this discussion is that any tool can be used by people
Well.
in a good way or a bad way.
True.
And the benefits to the people that are using it in a good way are immense,
Yeah.
and you just have to deal with the miscreants that use it in a bad way. But if you don't do it, then you give power to that one bad person. That one bad person is able to take the benefits away from 100 good people,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Oh, no, I'm all for doing it, that's for sure.
Does that have any effect on the traffic or the speed to anybody else in town?
No, it would not. We are not even a percentage point into our
Yeah.
bandwidth that we're using. It would have no effect whatsoever. And it would be its own separate connection, just like each house is a separate connection. It would have its own wire, and that wire goes directly back. It wouldn't be tied into anybody else's network or system.
Now, what would the speed be on that,
That's up to you. As part of the deal, you can pick your own. I mean, we're suggesting 100 meg or more, or
Yeah.
250 or something along those lines. They did say that if you guys approve this and want to do it, they'll give you that monthly fee at a 40% discount. So they'll knock the price down 40% for you.
No matter what level it is,
No
it's
matter what
40%
level.
off.
Yeah, no matter
What's
what
the
level you
difference
pick.
between
This was
100?
originally something, the hotspot was something that Eagle wanted to do, like Kelly said, clear back
Yeah.
when we started this. So it
Yeah, I
just
remember
kind of
that.
got, there were bigger things, and so we're
Yeah.
finally getting around to it. But Eagle is wanting to do this as a community service, but not free for everything. I mean,
Right,
The
right.
community is it's gonna be a sharing.
Could we add more antennas, like if we wanted to light up all of Main Street for people that are walking around or checking out the stores or whatever?
Well, you could add, well, it would be a matter of adding more hotspots.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right, yeah, and yeah, certainly. I mean, and we had actually started kicking around the idea, well, what if we wanted to add another one? And they said the same deal applies. I mean, it's basically, for me, as the tech doing the install, it's a basic fiber install, just like I do for anybody else.
Right.
So the hardware side is actually pretty simple, and the pricing wouldn't change. It would still be a switch, a wireless access point, and an omnidirectional antenna. So really, yes, you could.
So if you wanted to put one up on the highway and in the campgrounds and one down at the bottom of Main Street,
Yeah,
then
campground.
you'd have 3, then it's 3 times
Cool.
this.
Yeah.
Is it 40% off of these figures?
No, it is 40% off of the monthly
Accident.
the subscription, or,
Yes.
the monthly bandwidth.
So this is just hardware and features?
This is just
That's all
hardware.
this is? So
Right.
the total all-in price to do this at the park is the $32.62?
Exactly.
And then the monthly amount is 40% off whatever the bandwidth is that's published on their website?
Exactly.
And what are those currently? Do you,
It's honestly anything from 25 meg up to a gig.
and- okay, so what is a gig? What's
Oh,
the
I'm
gig
sorry.
price?
Oh, you're asking prices?
Yeah, what
Um,
recurring costs?
Well, 25 meg is, I don't have them all memorized. 25 meg is $50. 30 meg, I think, is $60.
That's the business one.
That's the business one.
I think 100 is like,
120?
maybe, 109 maybe.
Okay.
So like 100 meg thing, I think, this is memory, is like $110. It's on their website. Hold on.
Yeah, I didn't pull up those numbers, but
Great video you guys did, by the way.
oh, you like those? I thought they turned out great.
Well, I
Didn't they
saw
turn out
it.
awesome?
Finally saw it.
Yeah.
I think that's 25 minutes.
It was
25.
absolutely professionally
Or no,
done.
that's probably 30.
Is the county good with putting it in the park over there?
I have talked to Eric about it. We walked it out and scoped it out. He was all for it. I don't know that he has talked to like the county commissioners or anything, but.
Eric was been every meeting except this one, so he completely knows about it. So we're assuming that he has, that there won't be any problem. We didn't exactly, we just assumed that Eric was okay. So that's a really good question. I don't know exactly yet. This might take me a second to get to the seat, Fran.
No.
So can they monitor traffic, how much is being
Approach
utilized?
the commissioner.
They can monitor traffic flow, yes. They know how much is being
Percentage of
utilized.
use, right.
Right, yeah, just how many megabits per second is going, passing through. They don't have access to data. They're not monitoring data. Right.
Just how much is.
Right, and generally, that traffic, we monitor it at the town level. We monitor it back at that cabinet over by Lorraine, and that would just be cumulative, the whole town, we monitor that level. Yeah, I really should have looked. I didn't even
Well-
look those numbers.
Hold on, see, it starts out in Hayes, and then you have to get to St. Francis, because they're different in different towns. You guys have got a lot of towns.
So it might be kind of an odd question, but say the city wanted to do this and buy the hardware. Is there any option where you could do the 30 meg, or the lower amount one, and then during an event, have it
Of course, yeah.
jacked up?
And that
would
is
make more
really just
sense
a
to me.
Yeah, and that is totally an option. It's really just a matter of a phone call, because they can change the streaming package remotely. It would just be
They
a
would
matter
go
of them.
up for an event and then right back to
Sure.
the other amount?
Yeah, certainly.
That would
And the pricing would
keep it from
reflect
getting-
that. Your pricing would change, of course, whenever that changes.
Of course, yeah, for the monthly amount or whatever.
Yeah.
280 for a gigabit.
Oh, you've got it up? Yeah, I remember that was right about $300.
But what's 100 megabits? 109?
100 megabit is 109.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I think you're somewhere between 50 and 110. I don't think, I mean, a gigabit, that's excessive.
Yeah,
It'd be great,
totally
but I
excessive.
couldn't recommend it. But so, 100 megabits would be fast and that'd be nice. And it starts at what, 50, so it's 50 to 110 is the range of reasonable speeds, I would say. And you can go with, I'm agreeing with you, you could go with the low one and just jack it up when you need it.
So what
Yeah,
happens?
that makes more sense, you'd have less people saying, oh, heck, I can reach it right here, and it's
Yeah,
better.
no,
That's
it
nuts
does
free,
make a lot of
so
sense.
that
Right,
would make-
right.
It makes
No,
perfect
I
sense.
agree.
So what happens if you get 100 people on at the same time?
Well, depending on your bandwidth, well, I mean, even 100 people on 30 meg, yeah, I'm sure you would feel it. But if it were an event where there was actually 100 people there within range, if that bandwidth was higher, you wouldn't notice it.
And
That's why you do it
if there's
that
100
way. So you have access all the time, but you're only going to have 5 or 10 people using it 99% of the
Yeah,
time.
I
for your
understand what you're
event.
saying.
And if there's 100 people on it and they're just doing their email or surfing the web, they won't notice. It's when they start streaming or downloading that they'll notice. So 100 people might not notice it, or if 50 of them are watching Netflix, then yeah, it's going to bog down. And that's just like, okay, guys, you're going to have to play nice. This is a shared resource.
But honestly, general being connected to the internet really doesn't use very much bandwidth at all. It's not until you start streaming. So even 30 meg with 100 people, if they're just, emailing or texting or something, that's not going to use up hardly any bandwidth at all.
Seems to me like 9 months out of the year, we could probably handle the lower boat, but when the events are in the park and the pool is open, you might want to jack it up.
Yeah, I
You're
think
going to
that
pay the
would-
monthly amount to run it up, I presume.
What's
Or
that?
not. So if you want to, say you're going to have an event, you want it up for that time period, you probably have to pay for that month of that, right?
No.
No.
No, actually, as a perfect example, we had a customer that was just on a standard bandwidth package, but they had all the kids home for a weekend, and they're all gamers, so they all brought their computers in. They jacked it up for a gig for 2 days, paid the $20, and then it went back down to their normal thing. So it's just for the time that you have it.
That's pretty generous.
Not to mention you can impress your friends.
That's right.
So that's what you do, Robert.
Well, I wish you would have told everybody.
And there were 3 options on there. Did we already say about the payment options? If you decided to do it, there is an all-out buyout, which is the cheapest route, and I think would be the smartest move. But there are payment plans. I think there's a 3-year and a 5-year payment plan, but you end up spending more money over time doing that. If that's the reason why it's broken out into different blocks, but it would all be the same system. And there is, we asked about, just warranty and maintenance and that kind of
Right.
thing. And it came up as for 3 years, they would maintain it. Anything goes wrong, they replace it. It's their ABLE's responsibility. So there's a 3-year term on that.
The 3-year service agreement.
A service agreement, yeah.
Well, you see, there's a lot of advantages to it. And going back to what Robert said, you had to worry about one person doing it. But we had problems down at the library for a while.
I know.
We had to actually get rid of some trees and stuff and try to make it a little more open so that people weren't down there at 3 o'clock in the morning hanging around.
Again, I suppose that could happen, although
We'll just call these guys.
Well, yeah.
Somebody.
And I don't know that it, like you say, you're going to have problems, whatever, it'll be a small percentage.
the other side of that coin is I've been somewhere where I really, really needed to get onto the internet, and my cell phone wouldn't hotspot because I didn't have coverage, and my laptop doesn't have a cellular modem, which wouldn't do me any good anyway because it didn't have coverage. And I needed to do one thing, answer one email or confirm one airline flight, and somebody's Wi-Fi, if I had to go in and give them $5 for a cup of coffee just to get their Wi-Fi for 5 minutes, it's worth it. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but it happens, and this is the kind of thing that the city provides, and it's like, thank you. It's a nice thing to do.
And if it did get abused, you could always take
Right.
it down. around.
Right.
You're still gonna
I
have-
mean, it's a lot of cost, but,
Where they're talking, covering the swimming pool, for the last 2 years, we've just bridged it from here, which is a limited, it's relatively limited, it's just 30. It would be better than moving.
I can't imagine it's like when some of the bands are playing and stuff, they wouldn't utilize it.
Only the people streaming that back to their friends.
I think we'd want to make sure our parks are lit, where we, with the issues with the library, of people hanging out down there, that I think you'd want to make sure that the street lights are up and functional around there, so.
Separate issue, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
actually working with Stanley on actually getting a lighting plan,
Yeah.
because rather than just fixing the ones that are there, they're whatever, we're actually going to.
But I think if you have people hanging out in the park or around the park at night
Mhm.
on the internet, you'd want to make sure that it's well lit for.
And that'd be nice, just in general, even without the internet. I mean, I think it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's way too
Yeah.
dark there.
yeah.
What's everybody think?
It's not something we could have talked about 3 years ago. And probably if we didn't end up with fiber, if we were still on the wireless, we probably wouldn't be able to talk about this at all. It's kind of a luxury item that not all communities have, and we happen to be in the spot where we can do something like this. At least we can try it, and if in 3 years we say, well, that was a dumb thing to do, I'm sure that'd be the first time we'd ever say something like that in the city.
Now, besides bringing it in with an antenna, there's going to be some hardware stuff. Where do you plan on putting that?
Yes, and I did walk through with Eric on that. We scoped up, there's already a fiber wire going into the courthouse, and I was planning on following, I need to run a new wire. So that wire would run along there. I was going to tie, the plan is to tie into the bathroom building, and they do have, I have a way in through that little attic space, and there is that little utility room in the back. If I can get my stuff mounted up on the wall and out of the way, and there's power in there, and it would give me easy access just to run right up and put an antenna right on top of the roof. So there is hardware, there's going to be several components of hardware, but I don't know why I couldn't get it just mounted up on the wall and kind of out of the way. I really don't want to get it splashed
In that west room?
in that west, that west door there.
Wasn't this proposed way early on as a whole main street that was like $14,000 or $20,000?
That's what we're trying to
Quite a
build on.
larger scale thing.
What's that?
It was quite a bit a larger scale thing when they
It was.
first presented that. It was kind of like,
And that's
Yeah,
actually how it
so.
came back up. It's like, well, why didn't we get these hotspots? And that's when we started talking with
Sure.
Eagle. And so this is our starting point, trying to get back to that,
And I suspect that some of this was that when we were starting doing this, we were talking to the salespeople, and now we're talking to the technical people, and sometimes they have different ideas about what's going to happen. But I have a question. If these guys approve this, how long would it be before it would get going? I mean, just how it is.
It would a matter of just getting it onto my schedule. I mean, well, they would need to get that hardware and get it programmed. So I would say 3 to 4 weeks, possibly. I don't have an exact date, but they would need to get that hardware ordered in, and then they are going to want to get it pre-programmed before I install it. I mean, generally, the fiber install itself I could do any time, but as far as the switch, the security switch, and the access point and everything, they're going to want to get all that pre-programmed. So there would be a little bit of time for that. But my guess, 3 to 4 weeks, probably.
Yeah, that's great.
And you haven't asked the right person if we have the money.
Some we want to pay for this out of.
Or why do we pay it out of,
What would it be, JR? It's not really capital improvement, would it be?
So let me get this straight. It'd be $32,062 in pennies.
No,
No.
3,200.
3,200.
3,200. But then, the monthly deal, and if we went with the best one, it'd be 40% of $102?
109, it'd be 40% of 109, so it'd be...
109, so it'd be a 65.
Wait a minute, it's 40% off, right?
Yeah, 40% off.
Right.
It'd be 66
Or
bucks.
60% of it, no tax.
Yeah, right, plus tax. It'd be 70 bucks and give you 100 megabits, and if the bottom one is 50, you take 40% off of that, it'd be 30. So it's, yeah, I said it wrong earlier. It'd be 30 bucks versus 66, right? Something like that, plus tax. You
I'm
pick-
kinda like JR though, I think 30 would be plenty to carry, I don't,
Well, here's the thing,
Well, we see
you
what-
could start out with 30, and then if it wasn't enough, you could always bump it up. It's easier to go up than down.
Kick it up for events and stuff, you know.
For sure, kick it up for the fair, so everybody will think this town's got really festive.
so what happens if the roadside park empties and people spending the night there and they're spending it down at the park?
We'll go down and have beer with them.
Oh.
How would you get it to the roadside park, one up behind?
We walked that out too, and that was the next spot on our list,
Yeah.
but we, because we would love to do it up there too, and we do actually have access. There's a line running right behind the EMS building.
But it's another 3,600 bucks. or
It would
whatever
be
it is.
another,
I mean, every place you put it, essentially. I think it'd be great, because if you
Yeah.
had it
I
up
would
there. at
love
that
it up
park,
there.
They would love that.
yeah.
We talked, we actually agonized if we had to pick one place, whether it be the park or the swimming pool, but, the swimming pool is kind of the centerpiece, and you got the park. So we went with the park, but I do think the next most logical location is by the museum, the roadside park, and you could have one at the bottom of Main Street too. I mean, but
And
to
there,
me, it's the best one is the roadside park, yeah.
we have the camping fees that are coming in for the roadside park that should probably be put back into the roadside park in some manner. I'd have to look and see what we've brought in so far.
I would think if I was traveling, it would be great to have.
It would.
Oh, this one you're proposing would cover the pool though, right?
Right,
So,
and actually,
that's
that front
important.
edge, that,
Because that would be a lot of access, or
Yeah,
in my opinion,
yeah.
it would be, so
Yeah.
that.
In the summer.
Yeah,
For a lot of things, music.
yeah.
yeah, because that front edge of the bathrooms, that peak right above the
Mhm.
east doors, it's got a beautiful line of sight to the pool.
Good.
So, yeah, it would get
So-
good coverage.
You would put an omnidirectional behind the courthouse so you'd be covering everything behind it as well. Or could you do a directional and just face it, I guess,
Well,
90
you
degrees?
still want at least 270, because you
Or
want to be able to
270.
shoot west
Yeah.
through the park, east to the band shell, and you need to shoot over to the pool. So you need
Oh,
at
yeah,
least
you gotta get to the other side
270.
of the park.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm saying an Omni,
Yeah.
just because,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
If you did the roadside park, would it reach me?
No, we
We'd
block
put a
your
shield
IP.
up there. Put an RF shield.
We just block his IP, we know what it is.
Aluminum foil up there.
Actually, it's not very much money.
He'll be sitting in the roadside park.
Yeah.
So what's everybody's thoughts? Do you want to go forward with this at the park here, or?
Well, see it.
Do we,
Touch base with the commissioners, just since it's their property, that we, I don't think they'd have an issue with it, but just to run it by them, so they know.
We could ask Eric I mean, if you want him to.
I think if
'cause
the city's
really-
willing to put it up, the city needs to go to the commissioners as opposed
Okay.
to Eric as a county employee or how, as the
That's
the
fine.
board, because the city would be paying for it, and the city maintains the lease with it, and so I just think to keep open communication with the commissioners, we at least let them know
That's great.
what we're doing.
Maybe you could come up with how many people did stay up there at the roadside park and what we did take in,
Mhm.
because it might be something that we just consider both of them.
I think that would be wonderful.
Call
I mean,
Gilly
we'd
and
love
see if
to.
we can get a discount on it.
Yeah. 40% discount.
Yeah.
We'll get a twofer out of this. Seriously, I'll give him a call.
Yeah, see if there'd be a little bit of discount if we did
All you
both
can
at
say
the
is
same
no.
time.
Yeah.
Never hurts to ask.
Yeah, I can certainly ask. I mean, I think the pricing's coming down to really just buying the hardware, so I don't know how much wiggle room there would be, but I could certainly ask and see if they give us a little discount for two.
Well, so if is it 3,600, is that the number? I don't
32.
Okay,
32.
it's 1,300, if it's 3-year service, that's 36 months, so that's what, 90 a month. If you just had bought it for 3 years and then threw it away, which it should work for a long time, but that'd be $90 a month for the equipment, and that includes maintenance and repairs. So that's what you're looking at, is $90 a month at each spot for 3 years
Yeah.
is really what it's going to cost, and then plus the 30 or 40 or 50, so it's 120 to 150 a month. That's your total expense for those 3 years. And actually, I think everybody's going to like it, and I think you'll use that equipment for 3 more years, which just cuts the cost in half. But, your worst case is it's $90 a month for 3 years for the equipment. Rough math.
Well, I think everybody's kind of in favor of it, so we'll just check with the commissioners and then find out if they want to do both areas at the same time. We'll let you know.
Would you like this to come back to the next meeting, or do you want to,
Well, if you want to come back to the next meeting,
I just don't, however you
Or
want to
if somebody-
contact us, I
Have it.
guess.
No, just have somebody
When
tell
do they
us, and
meet?
we'll get it going.
They don't meet till the end of the month, so we won't be able to meet, or at least visit with the commissioners till the 31st.
Okay.
So it would be the first meeting in November.
But if the answer is yes, all Jason has to do is just pass it on.
I just have to call.
Yeah, it's a phone call and then it's going. Whether it's one or two,
Right,
yeah.
whether it's one or two.
This is,
Would the roadside park require all the same equipment?
Yes.
It would?
Essentially, it'd be the exact same install.
So switch, access point, all that stuff.
I think they want that switch so they can monitor it remote.
Well, and it's a good hardware
Yeah.
firewall.
And it's a
Yeah.
firewall.
It is protected layer.
Where would you house that equipment, in the EMS building?
I'm not 100% sure. We had discussed it. We had thought maybe the EMS building. I didn't know, is there something in a room in that bathroom building over there? We really hadn't
There's a
scoped it
chase
out
down
that
the
far.
middle of it, of the bathroom building.
There's a what, what'd you
A
say?
chase, 4 by 4 wide.
Yeah,
There is a utility room in there.
Is there power?
Yes.
Yeah, we could put it right there. And that would also require putting a wire in. Yeah, so I'm not sure, we could scope it out if you wanted to go overhead. If you think it's going to be too ugly, trench it, I'm
Well,
not
I
sure.
would
but-
just put it in the EMS.
And that's an
Can we
option
just
too.
use a
We'd have
port
to discuss
as
it
the
with them
EMS
and make
switch?
sure that's okay.
There's plenty of room in there.
Yeah, I think if you went in the EMS and you shot toward, but then you wouldn't get Roger's house, but if you shot it toward, you could do that, right, and it'd cover it fine from the EMS?
I don't see why not. It's a nice, there is a line of trees there.
Right.
But trees really don't have much of an effect on Wi-Fi, so.
So either, that is a detail that could be ironed out, but that's more of a technique, that's the same price, right, wherever you put it.
Would they be 2.4 or 5 gig, or both?
Probably both. I'm assuming both.
I'm assuming both. Did it say that in there? I'm not sure if they went into that much detail with it.
Most of them are, most of them are both. I bet it'd be both.
Yep, 2.4/5 gig.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yep. So it would have both networks on there.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thank you, and if you find out that they would give us a discount by doing both.
Yeah, I'll call Marty
but
tomorrow.
Just let Lila know, and then we'd have that information when we meet again, but then we'll let you know as soon as we can check with the commissioners.
Great.
I would like to say, I don't know why it cycled again on my Facebook deal with the little clip, probably a 5-minute.
Oh, the
film
commercial? Yeah.
About it. I'd seen it before, maybe 6-8 months ago, but it was cycling again for some reason, but that's really good.
I think they turned out wonderful. They turned out great. And yeah, and actually here, I think just in the last week, I think the NCTA started advertising it or something, because I've had 4 or 5 people just in the last week come up and say, hey, I saw that thing. And so I think they're putting it out on, well, and actually one of them was Dish Network, so I think they're putting out that video on one of the Dish Network channels or something. So it's getting airtime.
Really, but
Yeah.
it's good.
I very seriously doubt it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Yep.
Go call Marty right now.
Yeah.
Scott, is there any way I can run through this stuff?
I'm gonna move JR up because he's wanting to get out of here. He's gonna run away from us. So we'll move JR up here real quick and have him go through his report.
Okay. So on the Sawhill Park, that came up just a minute ago about the lighting. We looked at that a little bit as far as repairing the lighting after the events, and there's just nothing to work with. So we're going to talk to Stanion, actually get a lighting engineer through Stanion to get a look at it. What we'd like to do is like solar ones where we're not running wires big in trenches and stuff, and be able to turn them off and on as needed. They have so many different kinds now that it's something we want to look at, and we wanted to look into those as far as the Keller Pond parking area anyway. So we hope to get a lighting plan actually figured out instead of just trying to add light. In looking at trying to figure out the lights, I got to looking at the tree situation there, and it's not very good. We've got some ash trees that are bad, so we're currently seeking prices on medium to large size trees to plant in 6 to 8 locations so we can be looking at getting rid of those ash trees, because it is we're not far away from needing to do some tree cycling, and we don't want to end up with no trees. Obviously, we're going to get away from the ash. They've proven themselves to be not good for this area, so we won't be considering ash trees, as nice as they are when they're healthy. Once they start going bad and brings those, whatever those bugs are in, it just takes them all out. Last thing on Sawhill Park, I had a project starting. I talked to Scott about this. It kind of went a different way than I normally ever want to do anything, but we got in trouble with our sprinkler system where it just wasn't working. We couldn't keep it working. Had an individual offer to work on it, had attempted to get an estimated price in writing. He said not to exceed a certain amount, which was $4,000, which seemed completely reasonable for what he was trying to do. However, he had to dig it up, and the project got started. And I had talked to Scott all along the way, and it got started far enough into it that I didn't have anything to bring to the council that was solid. However, the individual, through another individual who actually had insurance, did get it fixed, is working properly, and they were good to the price they gave. Now, I want to be really clear. I don't like doing things this way, coming to you after the work is done and saying, we need $4,000 for the pool repairs, and by the way, they're done. That's not the way I intended for it to be done, but it just got started in a weird way. Again, however, it is fixed. I think it's $39.98.50 was the amount on it. And that
Barnes?
Yeah.
Yes, Leonard Barnes. And it does work properly. I mean, it took a long time, and it was lucky it rained, but they had some problems along the way, but we really didn't have any other resources on it. So I guess I would ask that you okay that be paid. I already okayed the invoice on it, but I wanted to make it official through the council minutes.
Do you think that's adequate for the work that was done? Because I don't even know what kind of work was done or...
Yeah, they changed all the valve boxes. They ran new wires from the controller to those valve boxes. It was extensive. In fact, I'm really surprised what it cost in the end. I was very concerned that it was going to be coming back looking for money in excess of the amount. So no, I do think it's reasonable.
And it's done? I mean...
It is completed and working, yes. And Leonard did have the insurance required, to be able to do the work. Like I said, the how it got done is what I was concerned with. I've never, in the time I've been here, had anything happen that way. So, I guess we'll approve that.
Do I hear a motion to approve the bill for Leonard Barnes for the 39, whatever that amount was?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Roger. Second by Larry. All in favor? Approved.
Thank you. I'll make every attempt to not do business that way. Again, like I said, it's not personal against them because I think the work was done right, but I'd much prefer to come to the council first. And then I'm going to do it again. Whittier Street. Dave Fleming came to me not long after the last council meeting, and they were bringing a mill machine over, and he asked me about Whittier Street, which is in such bad shape we couldn't repair it, and he asked about them running the mill machine, us getting some equipment up there and milling the surface, so hopefully we could get a chip seal or an overlay on it at a later date. I talked to Scott, it was impossible to pass up the amount of work we was able to get done with the county's labor, which we're gonna pay for, and the machine, and then we rented a packer. I don't have a number yet, but it was one of those deals where the mill machine was in town. It's an opportunistic thing, so we'll come back with that, but there's no way we lose on something like that. It does, however, commit us to doing something with the street next year, so it's a commitment, but the street was at the verge of being lost, so I think it was
Will it hold up
a
through the
reasonable
winter?
thing. It will. There will be some maintenance, there will be some tracking, but if we didn't do it now, we certainly wouldn't do it when we're going into these big street projects. And like I said, with the way we was patching it and it was still coming apart, I'm afraid we was going to lose it. We won't. At this point, it would just be a matter of reworking it to do the surfacing like next fall or summer.
It might be an experiment too, as far as how we could handle those streets up there.
Exactly. And so the curb and gutter issue came up. Now, this won't be the 6 inches of mat that is required by the funding agencies. This is going to be just a packed surface, either an overlay or a chip seal. We've done this experiment before. About 15, 17 years ago, we did Adams Street from the post office, well, post office is actually concrete, but from that alley all the way to North Whittier Street. Emerson? Wherever the mill and seed is. We did that 2.5 block, was it just a block and a half? Maybe it's just a block and a half area. But we did that where the county milled it all up and then we just chip sealed it and it's still holding. We've never done anything to it again. So we know it works, but it's a matter of the availability of the people and the equipment to do it. It's not the standard way. You couldn't get funding to do it that way, but it certainly worked in that scenario. So we know it'll work. As far as the curb and gutter, I think we want to, if we're going to do it this way, we do want to address the curb and gutter prior to doing it. It would be better, but it's not absolutely required because you're not tearing out 6 inches of asphalt. You're just messing with either a chip seal or an overlay, which is easier to patch and patch correctly. So I think it is potentially a way to move forward in that area. That's because with our LMI problem up there, there's no other way, really, unless we want to spend dollar for dollar up there, which I think would be really difficult to pull off when we're getting matching funds. So that's why we did it. If we don't like it, don't want to move forward with it, we don't have to. But, and like I said, it could be just a little messy this winter, but it really couldn't be worse than what it was. It really couldn't. So I think it's the right move. The next thing I have on the list is the concrete on the east side of the pool. I'm afraid it's not going to come up again until we hit spring, and it's too late to get it done again. Our little sticker patch walkway thing there. I really think we ought to just get bids on that and consider finishing the pool. It's not an extra. It's finishing the grounds. I mean, it really should be a finished thing. So
It'd be the last thing.
yeah. And I'd really like for us to just do it now rather than in a rush. Why do we forget about that, bumping up against spring? So
We definitely want to go concrete.
Well,
It's at
we've
least amount of
patched over
maintenance.
every other thing, and I still think it's probably the best. Personally.
Where is it?
It's the walkway on the east side of the pool, between the school and the street.
Oh, okay.
There's a tremendous amount of traffic in there, and the neighbors are also concerned about it somewhat too. We've talked about it for
Okay.
a year ago.
Yeah, we didn't know for sure what to do.
Right.
Rocks wouldn't be good because they'd be thrown.
Yeah.
So I think cement's about the only way you can go, so everybody in favor of putting it out for bids? See what we come up with?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing I've got is the cleanup. Our normal fall cleanup starts on Monday, just nothing other than that. So when we start doing the picking up, it takes quite a bit of time to get everything picked up, so we have to pick up certain things each time. Same old thing, why didn't they pick up my desk? Because we pick up all of one thing and then go back and do the other stuff. So
We don't charge for that, correct?
we do.
I know we had talked about it at one time when the landfill started charging for certain items, but I didn't think we ever.
So some of these discussions have come up this year, and they do every year. The gist of the cleanup is for individuals residences who may not have the ability to do the things themselves. That's what it's meant for. Businesses, construction debris, we've always refused it or frowned on it at the very least. It's just not, we don't want to pay the dump fees. It's supposed to be for keeping properties clean. That's what that's what I believe its purpose has always been. So we don't take them from businesses or renovations or things like that if it's being done for profit. If it's a homeowner, then we do. So, and we get taken advantage of sometimes, but again, it's a good service. It does help clean up some of the
I
places.
did have a business ask about whether he could put stuff out there.
And I talked to him as well. And I told him that, the volume, when we have a situation where it's obvious that we're saving it up for the cleanup, no, not really. If it's just we just run a fine line, because the next thing you know, there's the whole thing.
And it really wasn't for profit for him, he just wanted to get rid of stuff. But he has means of getting rid of it himself,
Exactly.
so.
Yeah. What's that?
What if someone wanted to pay to have the city take stuff?
I don't know. I think we had a situation one time where a person said, well, I can haul it, will you pay for it? And under the circumstances, like, okay. So we just had them put it on the ticket out there. But we've also had situations where people forgot to call it in, go out there and try to charge it to the city. So it's...
Didn't we have a truck you could rent at one time?
It wasn't for rent, it was for cleanup purposes, like cleaning of a house after a relative, somebody passed away or whatever like that. We do not do that anymore.
Okay.
Any other questions on cleanup? Okay. The sunflower contract, I still don't have one. I called on Monday, and they're trying to get it, since it's the first contract they've ever done since they're redoing this, because it all happened kind of at the same time. They don't have anything to put in front of us right now. However, Corey Linville, he was the individual who was here and presented, said that they will run it retro back, so it starts October 1. So I thought that was kind of a generous thing, because I've been kind of pressing for this contract, because we want to realize the savings. Well, we are. We just don't have it in writing yet, so I thought that was a pretty good deal. And that's all I have, other than a couple building permits, which are just run through the state of filing.
I've got a question, J.R.
Yes.
I've got one of the people that are on the street repair route about he would like to get his curb and gutter done, and he would like to move his sidewalks out to the curb. And as soon as he could, he's wondering where we're at on the tree removal.
Well, that would be now that we know we're moving forward, so we need to move forward on it right away. I'm actually glad that came up. That should be immediate.
Yeah, I think it's time to get it out.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is one, and I talked to Tyler, and as far as what we need to be doing, it didn't come up in our conversations, but that's a good thing.
What about the grant? When do we decide on that? Don't we want to make sure
November, mid-November, isn't it, November 1st?
To hear if we get it
To
or
know
not?
whether we're awarded.
That's not till January.
That's not till January? That's why it didn't come up, because that's the last commitment we have. We know we're taxed, so we better wait. We better wait.
Even though that sales tax passed, that don't mean we're...
Yeah, because we couldn't really award the bid to do the work.
Who is this?
What's that?
Who are we talking about?
The trees that need removed on the streets we're doing. Because that needs to be done long before the curb and gutter stuff. But yeah, we better wait for the grant
How many is it?
award.
Do you know?
There's seven. I think there's 7 on this year, and there's some on next year as well.
So what was the date on that?
January.
Yeah.
What was the November date?
November 1st is the deadline for us to get our application turned in.
Okay.
But the award isn't decided until January.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know the exact date, but I can sure find out.
But all our stuff's in already.
Almost. I'm
Oh.
working with Justine on the narratives this week that have to be done. But for the most part, we are
Oh, okay.
ready to go. We're on track for sure, she said.
Couldn't we start advertising for bids on the trees? I mean, we don't have to accept them. A lot of times it takes a while to get bids in,
Yeah.
contingent upon if we get the grant.
Let them know it'd be
Yeah.
first, or, next year.
Because they can always, well, the ground would be first, trying to get the tree
The problem
completely
is
out.
in removing some of these trees, you're gonna be removing part of the street as well. Because there's some of them that actually have grown into the street significantly, so we need
It's
to.
a fairly large project, and
Mhm.
it's really, I think the sooner we get started on it, the better, because it comes next spring and we've got the bids in on replacing the streets. And we're waiting on somebody to do the curb and gutter, waiting on somebody to do trees.
Well, the curb and gutter will be all part of the funded project.
Right.
Yeah, but the trees is, the only thing would be is if we got bumped on that and had the curb and gutter, and I'm trying to think, I think there's 3 of them that are that way, that it's actually gonna remove part of the street in order to be able to do that. And the curb and gutter is just having it in a state that if we weren't awarded, is the only thing I'm thinking. And those are obviously the ones that you would need removed, that are more critical to be removed.
Yeah. It's,
What's that?
it's up by the old church.
His aren't that bad,
By the-
but still. with
But he
all
wants
of
to
the-
get them all,
Mhm.
and then move the sidewalk out to the curb and replace the curb that needs to be done. He thought it'd be great for the school.
Sure.
How many trees, we just had one on that property, right?
I think we might have went 2 on
I
that
think we
one.
wanted.
Because you and I we kind of went back and
Yeah.
forth on
But
the
they're
second
gonna take the
one.
other, that cedar out, and then also the one on the north or south side.
Well, that wouldn't be one of the ones that was critical as far as
No,
the
it
street,
was
but we
not.
need to look at it as an overall project thing as far as
Well,
the
for
trees.
they do, but then.
Sure. Right. There's a couple of those that are just a huge commitment into the street, like the one just down, the next one down,
Right.
Giant Maple. I mean, it's actually got the street pushed up.
Yeah.
Let me talk to Tyler about it just a little bit. As far as that, the prep time and everything for that. Because we're definitely, I mean, we should attract some pretty decent bids on that stuff, I would think. Those are big trees. Let me check with him before we do that. I just hate to open up half of a street, Because in all honesty, you want to do it not way too far ahead of it either.
Well, if you're gonna tear up the street, if you're gonna tear up.
Well, if your contractor's coming in, say, September, you don't want to be doing it in May, I mean, or, in potentially drain time, I guess.
Yeah.
Be good to have them done and out of the way. I completely agree with that, but I don't want to overthink it. Let me just talk to Tyler about that. I mean, we have some time, but we better keep it on the radar for sure. And strangely, I did have 2 other things. They were on the list. The electrical infrastructure, the bid opening will be October 31st. And then they'll make the recommendation on November 11th for those extended completion time bids. Hopefully we can get some competitive bids out of that. And then on the property cleanup, Mike did send out a petition on the Toller property to the heirs. So we're trying to move forward on that one.
I have just a little bit of an update from Mike on that. It has to be published. The notice has to be published because they're having difficulties reaching the heirs, and so that should be in this week's paper. And then there has to be a 3 weeks to be published for them to respond, and then they can carry on with it and take it to court. But there'll be a little bit of a delay.
Okay, going back, do I hear a motion to approve the 2 building permits?
So moved.
Moved by Amanda, second by Cale, all in favor? Approved. Motion to accept and file the superintendent report.
So be it.
Moved by Roger, second by Derek, all in favor, approved. Before you go, JR, I got a question on something, and we don't have to decide tonight, but the west lots out there, the very west part of that, we saved it. We was always thinking, well, we keep that all in one piece. There's a guy interested in it. He'd buy half or all of it.
Where,
That's what-
Up behind the ASC office up there.
Oh,
Very
the
west one.
industrial.
Huh?
The industrial,
park,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
The very west one we saved years ago as one big lot, thinking that someday there might be something come in there, there's somebody interested. And he said he doesn't need it all. He'd buy half or all of it.
Where we've got stuff stored up there and stuff.
Yeah.
Behind those.
Yeah, he's planning on putting some stuff in there eventually.
Do we know what?
I was gonna say-
Yeah, I know what, but I don't think we'd have to go to executive session and mention his name and stuff, is that. But I said the property's always been for sale, we just have to determine if we're gonna sell it or not. Is there a reason to keep it anymore?
Other than the clay tile, I mean, there's a lot of concrete line and tile which we have not used. I think what we have used out of that stuff.
But that's all toward the, where's it located? Is it up top?
That's right behind Wilger.
Yeah, and that's.
Yeah, it's all there.
That's the property I'm sure he'd want right there. He'd want the top half. But he said they'd even moved the stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, as far as using stuff out of that area. They used to store all the pipe and stuff up there, but all it does is stay over there and get sun bleached where you can't use it. I mean, we keep most of the stock that we have behind the power plant. I think it's
We're in there
considerable.
on that lot, west of the shop, or east of the shop.
Yeah.
If there's stuff there valuable, it would.
Sure.
Do we know what it's worth? What would we?
We'd probably be selling it just like we did all the other property up there.
How's that?
Virtually free
Pretty
to build.
cheap. Pretty cheap. But if it puts some buildings on there, that's going to bring in taxes and some utilities.
Would this building have utilities he wants to do?
There's sewer there, but there's no
Electricity.
water.
They just have electricity. He might have water, I don't know, but I know it'd be electricity there.
A business, presumably.
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay. Because I think that has always been a stipulation. I mean, I think it
Yeah,
has, the
it's
storage.
be classified as a business.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think it's certainly considerable. Just hadn't thought about it in a while. I was trying to think of what
And
we use.
we don't have to sell it all, but you get down toward the other end, it's not very
Yeah,
good.
well,
So maybe we need
I
to
would
just
think
sell
if
it all.
somebody wanted to get it all, I think it would be a good deal. It's not very good
No.
quality of soil. It rolls off there pretty bad. In fact, I think the sewer manhole is about 6, 8 feet out of the ground.
That's all on the west side?
What's that?
That's all on the west side, is what we're talking?
It's a strip there that's kind of a trail road
I think
going down
about
there.
Is that 300 feet maybe? Because it goes all the way to Shilton. It might be more than that.
It's probably,
Might be more than 300 north and south.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Almost more.
yeah, it'd be further than that, north
Or down
and
to
south.
Chils's, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Haven't looked at it, haven't paid any attention to it for a long time. Certainly considerable. I mean, there's a drainage way that has to be maintained at the tree line. But the stuff that's there, I don't know. I think we possibly could do that.
Well, if everybody's kind of in favor, I'll just tell him to come to the next meeting or wait until you get back, and then we'll visit with him and
Okay.
let him know. And then we'll just check it out and then
Okay.
let him know.
Yeah, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I just hadn't thought about it for a long time. I know it
Well,
has come up before.
He hit me up about a week ago on it, and He asked me one other time, and I told him, I said, well, we've been saving that west side just for some reason, and I guess this might be the reason, I don't know.
I'd like to know the size, and then I'm sure tell them to make us an offer,
Yeah.
so we can compare it. I know what we've kind of been, we sold some of it for per acre.
Yeah.
But as I recall, just like Scott was just saying, I think we always saved it for an industrial, or, you know, that would be the best one for an actual business type development, so. But it has come up before where I think we've had offers where it come up short about, I may build, or I might, you know, which has always been a pass, but, yeah, let me think about it just a little bit, I'll look at it. But that drainage way is really honestly the only thing I'm coming up with.
Okay.
That cuts that.
I'll visit with him and
southwest
just
corner
time that
off.
in a couple of weeks, we'll get back together, and I'll just
Okay.
have him get a hold of you and myself, and we'll go look at it.
Okay. Sounds
Okay.
good. Okay. Anything else from you?
Yo.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you there.
Have fun.
See you later. Yep.
Come back. Kelly, was you here for a reason, or was it?
Well, I thought Karen wasn't going to be here, so.
Oh, okay.
So I was
Okay,
just.
you,
covering.
that's what's up next then, so. Update on the farmer's market.
I thought you weren't going to be here, so I don't have your thing set up.
Oh, I didn't want to present it anymore.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't ready. I did not get to present it in Wichita, so I'm not prepared to do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so update on farmer's market. I have officially resigned as coordinator. I'm going to move on to other things with the CFFC. I think my biggest goal to work on right now is the Taste of Cheyenne County Big Food Festival. I'm going to talk with the alumni and possibly do it that weekend. That would be a really good weekend to do it, because then we would have alumni. My goal for it is to have it yearly, ideally with alumni weekend. So I will be presenting that to them soon. Trying to think what else is going on. Kelly?
We just wanted to let you guys know that we have officially organized, and you have a copy of our bylaws, and I don't know if it's anything that you would ever need, but we have ended this season of the farmer's market, and so over the winter we'll then prepare for next summer. We feel like overall it was a good experience, good exposure, and a good thing for the community, and so we would like to continue. And so there will be, planning and stuff over the winter.
So it worked out well.
Yeah. Oh, yes, very well. Very, very well.
I thought you guys did a good job.
Yeah, I like it.
And I think it'll grow once it kind of.
Yeah, that's our hope, is that we'll learn some insight.
Well, we thank you for the time you put into it to get it put in place.
And I want to thank you guys for all your support with it and helping us throughout our season. And that's a lot that we had you guys backing us up. I went to Wichita to discuss what we were doing here in St. Francis, and they were all impressed. I had a lot of people very interested in everything that we are doing here with the CFFC and the farmers market. So we're doing the right things. We're doing what we need to do, and we're making a big impression on the rest of the state. I just want to let you guys know that.
That's good. Okay, Scott, I do have one other thing.
Okay.
Before I leave. I wanted to thank, and I'm sorry just to tell JR, but as from the library, the roof has been redone, and we are greatly appreciative of that. On our little list still, though, are the screens that maybe we could, I think that's been on your list of projects at some point, but perhaps the screens on the outside of the windows, because it looks like, I looked at them again today, and it looks like that is the place where when it was broken into, that they were cut to, I mean, that's kind of what it looks like, is that somebody cut the screen to be able to get them open and get the screens off to try to get into the windows.
Is that how you're going to get in?
That is how I get that money. Thanks for telling me.
There's some other issues down there too.
There are,
We
but
need to get
Yeah,
back
I know,
on.
the sophistication.
there are, but, you know, I also wanted to just make sure that, you know, we are greatly appreciative of the roof, and it's done, and it looks good, and so,
The screens might have been on hail damage.
we're moving on. But,
I think they were damaged somewhat on the hail, but they
yes,
didn't get
there
cut
are,
into.
on the ones on the north side, where it did damage.
Just need to get them off
I
and down
remember
there.
seeing that on the list
Some
of
down at the lumberyard.
what we got.
Okay,
Okay,
that's all I got.
okay, thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
Kelly. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, everybody.
Jason?
Thanks, Jason. See ya.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to make it known why I left the farmer's market, because I think it's an issue that needs to be brought up. And that's why I was upset they were here. I had to leave because of the board was going to fire me. They came up out of nowhere. They wanted to take credit because I made it a success. I'm sorry I'm tearful, but it hurts. But I just need to make it known what they have been doing to me. And I can't hide it anymore. I'm so sorry to cry. But I have worked my butt off, and they wanted me out. I did not want to give it up. And I want to make it known, I did not want to give it up. But I had to. And I'm so sorry. And I feel like I failed the farmer's market for having to give it up. But I just had to let you guys know. I love the work I did. I worked so hard. But I just had to let you guys know. I will miss it. So, I'm sorry. I'm real sorry. Thank you. Ready to go?
Well, thanks for all your work you did.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you did do.
You did a great job, Karen.
Thank you. And if anybody
We
does
felt
want
like it was a
to know
good
more.
benefit.
Yeah, I know where it's gonna head. I'm sorry. I can't save it. I'm so sorry. And I failed it.
Well, I don't think that,
I think you
I
got
would
to
say that was,
start
Mayor
on
was
it.
very successful due to your efforts.
Yeah, and I just, they want to take over. They were butting heads with me. They do not give me any credit. They have not lifted a finger for this. Just, I can't hide it anymore. And I know a lot of people in town did not know of the board.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Nobody knew about them. They came up 2 months later after it was proven to be a success, and they took it out from underneath me. In the event it does fall, I will come back, and I will run it the way it's supposed to be run. So rest assured that farmer's market will prevail in the end, because I won't let it fall. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks,
Thank you.
See you, Rachel.
See you,
Bye,
Rachel.
Rachel.
I didn't know there was a board. Who's
Yeah.
on the board?
Jason Paget, Bernadette,
Lunsford.
Danny, I'm going to say probably Holsworth as treasurer, and Kelly. Janice, that's right, Janice. Mhm.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It is.
I thought it was all
Yeah, I
working
did too.
together. I didn't realize there was.
She put her heart and soul into that thing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, let's move on to the ordinance 619.
I have it here, and I'll pass it down to Scott. It's an ordinance establishing a new starting time for the regular meetings of the St. Francis, Kansas City Council and amending Section 203 of Article 1 of the 2015 Code of the City of St. Francis, Kansas. if you guys approve that, we'll get it published in next week's paper. It's not subject to any kind of a protest, so it would take effect as soon as it's published, so the next meeting would be at 7 o'clock.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 619.
Second.
Okay, guess we'll have to vote on this. Cale?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably have to remind us.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking tonight, I'm like.
That's so
I know, I have to
nice.
check my agenda.
I guess I'm all right with it if we just don't drag them out an extra 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have been on here when we had one meeting a month.
Yeah.
Oh.
It'd be midnight when we
Yeah.
I've been here a time or two when we were here till almost midnight.
Yeah, but
So
we,
Larry is at that point.
every month, every meeting we had, it lasted.
And then there were
7:30 to
Tuesday
midnight.
nights, and we thought by moving them to Monday night, that some of the gals had kids at school for events, sporting events, so we moved them to Monday night.
Yeah, on Tuesday night.
And then I don't think you can find a perfect night.
Okay, moving on, well, we talked about the street project, property cleanup, project pending.
Anything on the Empire Motel?
A little more discussion, but it's not going very fast.
Okay.
Got Helen working on something to, in fact, I just wrote a note today to call her tomorrow. I told her to get everything down that will be available to whoever puts something up there, what the county offers, the 10-year deal on the taxes, and find everything we can find. That's it. But between the county and the city and stuff, and put it in a deal so we can hand it to whoever would show any interest. But the one guy that we've been talking to, I just want to give it to him, and so he has it. And so hopefully, maybe it's starting to, a little more discussions happening now again. It kind of stale, well, he invested in something else big. And so that took it away from this for a while. But there has been some mention of it, so hopefully.
And there are other routes too, as far as the investors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Helen was
Yeah,
trying to.
Helen's going to try to do some more on that too. And I said, well, let's get a package together. So no matter who you're talking to or we're talking to, we can show them that.
I thought Mike got some information together, no?
I haven't seen it, so. Anyway, that's where that's at. We'll still talk.
Where are we at on the crossover thing?
What's that?
Where are we at on the crossovers with the state and that whole argument?
I don't know if Mike heard any more back or not, if you heard anything at all back.
Yeah, I don't know what he's heard about the letter he sent in.
Okay.
Nothing I know of yet. I think they'll drag it out and drag it out. But hopefully they'll answer it. Okay, well, let's move on to clerk report.
Oh, we missed the theater report.
Oh,
I was
Stephen.
gonna say, I don't know about
yep,
Keller Pond's
And the
report,
Keller
but-
Pond, yep, I jumped over. Keller Pond report.
The only thing I've got is I've submitted a bid for some split rail fencing on the east side of Keller Pond to Tom. We'll see what kind of response we get back and go from there. Other than that, I think the whole area out there, I've had several people comment to me that they've been using it. We've seen people out there when we've been out there a couple times, so.
Why are you submitting a bid for fence to Tom Keller?
Because it should be his responsibility. because it wasn't our decision to take all the trees out. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I've talked to Dave Fleming a little bit about it too.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't feel it's our responsibility to put a fence back in there. I think we need one
And where's this?
on the east side where the Riverwalk starts. All it would be.
Clear on the east.
Clear on the east side.
Okay, yeah.
It'd be like,
Right, where they go down and park.
yeah,
Okay.
it'd be like a fence there, and then it'd be staggered to where it'd be a little hard to get in with like a four-wheeler or
Right, okay.
something. And then, I'm still not sure, I need to talk to Dave a little more about where the second bridge is gonna go across at some point. But right now, we're just looking at being able to fence that off so that people can't drive into that. You can still drive all the way down that road and come in from the backside, but that's a whole other issue.
Okay,
I wanna see what kind of response I get from Tom
good.
and go from there.
I know we've been using it a lot, and it's really nice, but you know, when JR mentioned those solar lights, that might be nice to even have them all the way around there in places too. All the way around the walking route, not just where the parking will be.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that
would.
might have to be down the future, but that would be nice.
For the whole list of projects that,
Yeah.
have been talked about.
As long as we're going through the proper channels,
Yes.
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
jumping
yeah.
to your office.
No,
You
That's
talked to your
right.
other board member about that tonight.
I think that's been addressed.
Okay. Good.
Yeah,
That's all I've got.
okay. Motion to accept and file the pond report,
So moved.
moved by Amanda, second by Kale, all in favor. Theater report.
All right, I don't have much to report on other than last Monday, a week from yesterday, that we met, and the popcorn machine is having some issues. I know they said in the past they've done a few repairs to it. It's essentially leaking oil, I believe, down through here and dripping on the popcorn. The cost to replace just the kettle is $700. The cost to replace the whole unit is $1,500. So I guess the board's thought was, why spend half the amount of money for just the kettle pot when you can just get a whole brand new machine? Because I know they had thought they had done some rewiring of the whole machine at one point, and they thought the best avenue would probably be just to replace the whole unit.
They have the funds to do that then?
It would probably need to come out of, I would think equipment reserve would be appropriate for that because they are a city thing and that's a pretty important piece of equipment for a theater. But that's just my opinion.
What's the problem?
I know, God.
What's that other price you have there?
The whole unit,
Oh, gotcha.
and just the kettle, this part is $700. So
It could also come out of the general fund in the theater.
almost half the amount is just this piece, and you can get a brand new unit.
Who's managing the theater now?
Jessica Lee.
Who?
Jessica Lee.
Still who? Yes.
Jessica Lee.
Cool. Who is?
She's doing a pretty good job.
There's nothing wrong with the other unit. I mean, the rest of the unit, right?
Other than they said that in years past, they have done some sort of repair to it. So their thought was, if you're gonna spend $700 for this,
Yeah.
you might just upgrade the whole system.
How
And I
old
don't
is,
know when.
do we know how old that?
Oh,
didn't either.
it's been here as long as I have at least. I don't know. I'd have to go look and.
It's probably been there since we got the theater started up again.
That's pretty old.
Yeah, you want me to tell you when we did it?
It was in the 80s, wasn't it?
91.
I know. Wow.
Jennifer was a senior in high school, and we showed the first movie of Edward Scissorhand in it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Jerry Rank and I had the tape upside down, so it was... So we had to stop, but we didn't unwind it and redo it. We just put a twist in it and it worked.
Oh.
Let the kids watch it for graduation night.
Wow.
So it's been there since 91, and I think it was used before that too, so I don't know how long it's been So it's popped a lot of popcorn.
Yeah.
I'd almost think it'd be better to go totally new too, so. Hear that motion?
What's the total new?
1576, and just the kettle part is $700. So you can get the whole thing for,
Oh, I thought you meant just the whole kettle and the deal, but you mean the whole
The whole-
popcorn machine is
Mhm.
$1,600?
yeah, or just the kettle, just the little pot inside is
Right,
$700.
yeah.
And then I would assume you'd have to have somebody install it. I don't know what it would take to take apart the old and put it together.
I don't think that'd be too tough to do.
I
I
don't-
mean, it'd just be unhooking electrical,
Yeah.
And hooking it back up,
you
yeah.
know. And probably have to assemble that somewhat when it comes.
If they mess with the wiring,
Done some sort of repairs to it, and I don't know
yeah.
what they
I make
exactly
a
did.
motion, we let them get the new for
Yeah.
1576.
I'll second it.
Moved by Derek, second by Roger, all in favor. Approved.
That's all I have to do.
Okay.
Quick question tied to the theater. And it's on the bill, so I'm jumping ahead, but the Sony Pictures, it shows Angry Birds at $250 and an Overcomer at $743.
So the fees that we pay are based on the tickets that we sell. There's a base that we sell, or a base that we have to pay, so that $250 is the minimum that we would have to pay, and then it increases based on the number of tickets.
Okay, motion to file the theater report.
So moved.
Moved by Larry,
Second.
second by Cale, all in favor. Clerk report?
Okay, I've got a few things. Got the final canvas from the vote, and Scott brought it over today. The total yes was 165 and no was 125, so that's the official count. I'll get this off to the state. Probably have to wait for the ordinance that we're going to have for the sales tax, but we'll get it sent to the state and get that initiated, and it should start April 1st.
So there's 290 people.
That was just,
It's sad
I
that
know.
that's all it shows
Amanda
up.
said that's what, less than a third?
Yeah, I think 910, 920 roughly is the registered voters.
So a third, basically, almost.
Not even that, yeah.
mm,
The least worried about it, just nobody would vote. I mean, at least they voted. I was, it was just, I thought we did about all we could.
I don't know what else we could have
I don't know
done.
what else. A bus and go around and pick them all up and take them up there. Yeah.
Haley Brown did turn in all of the signatures that she needed, the 80% for her daycare variance at 116 East 2nd Street. So
Good.
tonight we would need a motion to approve that variance.
We would approve the variance.
Moved by Roger,
Second.
second by Amanda, all in favor? Approved.
And then she's also turned in a utility incentive application. It's just herself that's working there. She does work there full-time, 8 a.m. to 5:30, so she would qualify for up to $600 of incentives, which would be up to $100 a month for 6 months on her utility bill if approved.
Do I hear a motion to approve the utility incentive?
So
Moved by Cale,
Second.
second by Larry, all in favor? Approved.
Okay.
Long
Come
ago,
on.
yeah.
Long drawn out there, Gail.
Yeah, that was pathetic.
Then I have an application for a tree trimming company out of Atwood called Rocking Tree Services. The gentleman's name is Matthew Finley. He's got appropriate liability insurance, and if you do approve this, I would ask that you approve it pending receipt of the license fee. He sent me a picture of the check that's in the mail, but I haven't received it yet. So we would probably want to approve it pending that, but nothing unusual. We have 2 others that are licensed currently. SGR, Second Chance Ranch out of Goodland, and Larry Barnes.
Oh, we're gonna need it.
Yeah.
Mhm. I will say that these folks, something on Facebook that somebody recommended them, and then Jen had mentioned just make sure that whoever you get is licensed. And these folks were on the phone with me the very next day to make sure
We
that they
already
got the
took down
paperwork.
3.
They did not know they needed to be licensed, but as soon as they found out, they were on top of
They
it.
did that.
Gilbert, Carroll.
All of them did. Is this Matthew Finley, a son to Steve Finley, or what was the other brother? Both of them have died now. Steve Finley, what was the other one's name? Because that
Oh.
Finley Ready Mix is up for sale.
Yeah,
That's Steve.
Steve, and the other one was the family deciding guy,
Oh,
Kevin.
yes.
They both have died.
Yeah, and then their brother died in COVID too. All within a matter of 2 years.
Oh. Wow, that's too
Guess
bad.
I'll make
And
a
her mother's
motion
still alive.
to approve that pending receipt of the fee.
Okay, it's been moved by Amanda, second by Cale, all in favor?
Then I have the St. Francis Girl Scouts are selling nuts and candy, and they would like the council to waive the peddler's license fees.
Do I hear a motion to waive the fee?
So move.
Moved by Darren, second by Cale, all in favor?
Okay, and then I sent out with the minutes and the agenda the letter of support for the Cheyenne County Hospital. Did you all have an opportunity to read that? If you approve it, I've got it here for the mayor to sign.
Everybody agree on the letter for the hospital, Cheyenne County Hospital?
Yep.
Thank you. And then the next thing is the letter of commitment, which I had sent out as well. So we have it in our budget, the $5,500 for the transportation van. They just require a letter of commitment from the city to confirm that we're going to be able to pay that. You'll see in tonight's bills, we've paid the allotment for this year. This will be for next year.
Do you hear a motion to approve the transportation fund for $5,500? Moved by Amanda, second by Larry, all in favor?
I'm a little skeptical of that thing at first, but man, that thing was
They
huge.
use
It does. It really does.
You get a sign too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always going somewhere, picking up somebody.
So about a couple of months ago, I don't remember when it was, but I'd asked for permission to get the payroll software. At that time, the bid was, or the quote was $6,645. That didn't include any mobile apps to use your phones. I didn't think it would be necessary, but JR feels that in his department, he would like for that to be available for him to use for his employees to be able to log in with their phones. It's GPS driven, so they can't log in just anywhere. The software would show where they are when they are logging in, but he felt like with some of the times when his guys get called out, it would be better for them to be able to log in, not necessarily having to go all the way down to the plant, but they could still log into work, and he can see on the report where it was that they were when they logged in. And he, of course, has to approve all of his employees logging in and out. So with that said, that app costs extra. So for up to 20 employees, that's additional $799. So the total cost would be $7,444.
Just a one-time fee for that.
Yes.
So-
These are all one, this is all one-time fee, but then there's also the annual maintenance and support, which is, what? $1,090. Nope.
Is it
Yes.
really going to get used that much?
The
That'll be the only way they
the
can
mobile
log
app,
in.
that would be how they would log in. They
The
would
only
use,
downside, I think it might depend on where your cell phone ping's from. I think there's been some issues.
It's
with it.
GPS, so that wouldn't matter. It's GPS. Right.
it's supposed to,
But there isn't.
what?
I just thought somebody with the county had an issue with it picking up somewhere that they were logging in or something. I don't know.
So,
Don't
Do
quote
they
me on
use
that.
it, the mobile?
Yes, I believe like the EMS,
Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff's
probably does.
Department would use it. I don't know about Road and Bridge. Landfill uses it, mobile app.
Well, if there've been issues with that, maybe
I just
JR needs to
thought
talk to
somebody-
him about it.
Let me double check on that, so.
They're using that to log in to clock in?
Yes.
So
Yes.
like Byron out of the landfill doesn't have
I understand.
internet, and so he can just get on his phone to the mobile app. But
I understand that, but this guy's in the city, I'm having a hard time understanding that.
Why they would need to?
Yeah.
So maybe we need to have this conversation. We don't have to approve this tonight. I didn't realize he was going to leave. Let's have this conversation when he's here so that he can explain his reasons for wanting that to be an option for his employees. For me in here, it doesn't make any difference because they have to be here. We have to be here. They can log in on a PC. The pool employee can log in on their tablets. The theater can log in on their tablets. But he had a reason why he thought that would be useful for his employees to be able to have that option. So why don't we wait?
I can understand it if they get called out from a water break or something, or an emergency, why they couldn't do it from their phone, or
Mhm.
go down to the light plant. Or am I missing
Wouldn't they
something?
have to go to the light plant to get equipment or
They may.
tools or?
Well, see, that would be, yeah, maybe, let's wait.
Okay.
We don't have to decide on this tonight.
Okay.
I'll bring it to the next meeting.
I'll now check on that, see if there's issues with the.
Yeah,
Yes,
see if
'cause
there's
he
any
would-
issues too.
he would wanna
Make a
know
difference.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that,
If that's what it was.
yeah. Okay, I'll bring that back. We have one First National Bank CD that is coming up for renewal. This particular CD is a 1-year term. I just needed guidance from the council if you want me to renew it for a year or only renew it for 6 months since we're still looking at the electrical thing.
How much is it?
It's 100,000. We have 150, 75. We have about $300,000 in CDs that are 6-month CDs, and then we have 217,000 that are 1-year CDs currently. And some of those don't renew until next June.
Do you foresee anything? I mean,
Most of,
a year would be all right?
Well, it's all hinges on the electrical, what we're going to end up doing with that.
Yeah.
That was my only thought. It might be a good idea just to renew for 6 months this time and until we know more about where that's going.
Yeah.
What's the penalty? Can't be much of a penalty when there's not much interest.
And the current rate on that one is 2.68%, and the one that I just renewed, I think it only renewed at 1.95. So it's probably going to be close to that for a 6 month. I don't think it's a significant difference in the interest. So,
Well, if they get started next spring, if the bids come in and they get to going, because we're giving them time frame that they can start whenever, as long as they're finished by a certain time. I don't know. Everybody want to just go 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's go 6 months.
Okay. And then the fire department, Dan asked me to get approval from the council to purchase some batteries for their radios. They need them. The total cost is $1,290. We'd split that with the county, so the city's share would be $645.
Your motion to approve the battery purchase for $600+. Moved by Cale. Second by Amanda, all in favor, approved.
Okay. And the only other thing was I did not end up going to that regional clerks meeting in Hayes, so that my dad needed me here, so I didn't go to that. So that's it.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept and file the clerk report?
So moved.
Moved by Darren,
Second.
second by Larry, all in favor, approved. Council comments, Cale?
Nothing for tonight.
Amanda?
I don't think I have anything.
Roger?
Nope, don't have it, nope.
Darren? Larry?
Mandy, if you could, we need a volunteer for the pool board.
Okay?
Could you mention that, please?
Sure.
We had Jenny Bussey stepping down from the pool board, so we're looking for somebody to replace her.
When do they, can I say when they meet and stuff, so people can know whether or not they're available, or?
We primarily meet like March, April, May, June, July. We'll have 4 or 5 meetings total for the entire year, unless there's issues.
You have terms on
No,
No? Everything.
no, it's basically volunteer. I don't even remember how long I've been on. Basically responsible for hiring lifeguards, overseeing pool operations. We're the go-between between the city and between city council and the city and the pool board, I guess. And the only other thing I've got is I will not be here next time. We're going to be out of the country. Jamaica, mine.
Oh, Jamaica.
Only
It
okay
hasn't
if you take
changed.
me with you.
No
Only
hot
okay,
English?
yeah.
No hot English.
Only okay.
He's so
Come on.
sorry.
You got a big suitcase, right?
Casio is. Jamaica.
You going to a resort or are you going on a cruise?
Couples only. Adults and couples only.
Fun.
Yeah, because once you get off the resort, nothing's changed in 40 years down there.
No.
Not a thing. That's scary.
I've heard it's very scary when you get off.
We went there in
Response.
91 and I was there a couple years ago and nothing has changed. So you get off this, well, first time was on a cruise ship, the second time was at a resort. You get off and you go downtown, it's like, oop, we better stay together, everybody. We'll have fun.
Thanks.
Okay, well, let's stop here and go over the bills.
Riley, can I mention something real quick? We are, Tristan and I are kind of revamping Christmas on Us because I want to change the way we do it. And I don't really like the tickets and handing out tickets thing. I just want to do something more community oriented. And we've been talking a lot about getting like a community Christmas tree, a Christmas tree lighting, stuff like that. Just something to get everyone together more often rather than just handing out tickets. If we were to do something like that, how would I get it so we could have it in the park? Is there some way, is there something I need to do? Is there some process I need to go through? I know JR was just talking about putting new trees in, which would be ideal to have a tree there that could be used rather than trying to bring a tree in, obviously. I talked to the 202 about putting one in there, and they were willing to do events, like on a weekend, but not necessarily have a tree in there. For, you know, they like the idea of having it in a park more too, so, which I get, people driving by and seeing it.
How big a tree?
You know,
where I'm from, we had a big, huge Christmas tree that everybody went to all the time. And so, like, I'm used to seeing a really big one, but it doesn't have to be humongous. I think it just needs to be a good-sized one. And then we're going to have businesses kind of put into it and have events surrounding that. So we're working on talking to different boards and stuff about what we can do. But I just thought I'd let you guys know that I'm trying to organize something, and if I need to use the city park, if that's something you guys would be okay with, does it matter? Obviously, I would tell you and apply for whatever I need to, but
Are you thinking about bringing in like a tree spade and bringing in a big tree?
no, I'm thinking about talking to JR and seeing what his ideas would be, because I really don't, I know that it's not a tree that's there all the time at the cities that I'm used to going to. They bring in some sort of tree.
Well, back in the early 90s, they did the city went and put the lights up for it, but all those big, the pine trees, they put lights on them.
Okay.
And then they had a gathering of all the people, and, because Jerry Rink was kind of in charge of it, and they had a chili feed, and, hot chocolate, and had singing and blah, 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 and the band shell, but they would turn all the lights on the trees,
And it was like a lighting ceremony. That's kind of what we were going for.
That's what that was that time.
Yeah, and
So, but it's not to say you can't just have one.
yeah, and I don't really know exactly where I'd have to talk to JR some more. He would know a lot more about what would be appropriate with wind and whatnot. I just don't know. So I would talk to him about it more. But obviously I wouldn't be digging into the dirt and putting in a tree or anything. But yeah. Anyway, just kind of want to let you guys know.
Put a fake tree on top of the fountain there, it'd be right in the center of.
That's a great idea.
Sort of a light,
I just want to see, is he gone for a while? Is he on vacation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks, of course. Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. I just wanted to see what his thoughts were, because he would know what would stay. Like, we need obviously we need the city's assistance probably with something like that. But it's October and December is pretty close, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways,
Yeah, it was mine.
I kind of wanted to let you all know, give you a heads up that that's kind of what we're doing and
We
talking
should
to different boards.
probably do that like Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, we were talking about, they want to do the parade again this year, and Santa's going to be at 202 this year instead, so we're kind of changing things around, and I think that it would be a good idea to do that weekend, yeah, which is very close, so, yeah. Maybe it will be next year before we can have some sort of tree lighting ceremony, but we're going to try and do something different. We're not going to do Christmas on us this year. We just decided it's kind of ran its course, and it's just Tristan and I now, so we get to decide what we want to do.
And you're young, you've got
Yeah.
fresh new ideas.
Yeah, new ideas. Anyway.
Yeah, good.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
What is this John Deere?
Oh, well, it should have said repairs. So that was some repairs on a John Deere, probably a tractor, something in the Parks Department.
We don't have a tractor, it must be a mower.
Could be a mower.
Don't they have a John Deere side-by-side?
We don't have a John Deere tractor.
Oh, you're talking about the
Utility?
the utility deal, that John Deere, what do they call them? Yeah.
The UTV, a side-by-side.
That's not a John Deere. I think that's Constellation.
We can look at let me look at
I don't remember. We did have a John Deere one at one
Sure.
time.
Very first one I remember.
I don't remember what brand it is now.
That's a lot of repair work on a John Deere mower, too.
So it looks like a complete engine and everything.
Yeah.
647.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was John.
It concerns me sometimes on these repairs, the help is checking the oil and stuff on, especially when it's $3,500, almost $3,600. That's major.
Do they have preventative maintenance schedules down there? Their equipment?
I don't know, but there's been more than just like this one. There's been a few other things that,
You say repair equipment stuff? See,
Preventative
Dustin
maintenance.
Andrews has a repair, or does a maintenance deal on like generators and stuff,
Yeah.
different ones.
But as far as the city
Does the city keep
crew
track?
keeping their equipment on a regular
Yeah,
maintenance
the small
schedule.
stuff, they ought to, I mean, they're
Yeah.
cheaper.
Well,
But
yeah.
I know that some of the bigger stuff, I think Dustin's does regular maintenance on the bigger equipment, like I say, generators.
Yeah.
Gearbox. Ooh, well, they knocked the whole gearbox out of it. But
What vehicle?
John Deere 407,
It's gotta be a mower. We don't have anything.
Didn't you ever say, and I don't know, you said something about the main sweepers down? I don't even know what that is. What brand?
That is
It's a mower.
it's a, honestly, doesn't Foley do the repairs on that?
Cat.
The 407 is a mower though.
what's that?
The John Deere 407 is a mower.
Yeah. Wow.
Now it'll pop up.
Ooh.
You suppose, is that the mower that goes out here to Keller's and they go through mowing all that stuff and probably hit a tree limb or something and knock the gearbox clear out of it?
Yeah, it's the pull behind mower.
They hit something with it. They knocked out the whole gearbox.
I don't even know why we mow out there. They've, mow, with some contracting out, I think we charge them $75 a ton to mow out
We used to hire him to do it.
there. Huh?
We used to hire him to do it.
Yeah, let him tear his stuff up.
And that's
He
why
has
he's
those
not.
great big ones that run on diesel. They got the big tires so they won't get stuck.
Well, they must have hit something with it to knock out the gearbox. Because I don't think it would have been wore out yet. Any other questions on the bill?
I guess I haven't heard anything because the area that's being mowed out there has already been previously mowed. It's just going right back over the same area.
Right. And there shouldn't be that much,
And
and
these
there
are-
shouldn't be anything in those trails now anyway, because they went through there, and so, yeah. I don't know what happened.
I have to ask Taylor.
Of course, I think they mowed the Empire. Could've been trash up there.
Could have been a rock up there.
This, and I'll just have them
Yeah.
touch base with you
Yeah.
guys to get that order.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Well, if there isn't any other questions, do I hear a motion to approve the bills on ordinance 1031?
So be it.
Moved by Roger,
Second.
second by Dara, all in favor? Approved. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Amanda,
Second.
second by Larry, all in favor?